Yeah! YouTube, what up? Welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Watts, and I'm Watts. I want to talk to y'all, but I want to talk to y'all about something a little bit different. Something that I just kind of been paying attention to, and I haven't really been saying much because I want to make sure my ducks is in order. I want to make sure I'm not just saying things just to say things. Not for the fuck of it, but I want to give you guys the truth. I want to give you guys the real. And the real is that we have a Samoan problem. This is a Samoan problem, and it's been building up for the longest time, but I think it's time. I think now is the perfect opportunity to have a conversation about it. So, all of my Samoan brothers, come take a seat right here. Let's have a conversation. I have to have this conversation, and I gotta start with Jacob Fatu. Now, don't get me wrong. I rock with Jacob Fatu, and I personally think that Jacob Fatu is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, pure wrestler in that family of all time. There's not a lot of guys in that family that can touch that man in the ring. One of them is no longer with us. Actually, two of them are no longer with us. But that's another story for another day. I came here to discuss the fact that 40 seconds into that song that Jacob Fatu made, what's the first thing he said? He's over here saying the N-word. Now, I bring all of this up because there's a lot of guys who make music in the WWE. Ron Killings being one of them. Montez Ford is one of them as well. And I think Naomi was in the studio as well. But the two people who make music and rap, actually three, because Trick Williams be rapping too. He be in his bag and stuff like that. But I say all of this to say, I listened to Montez Ford's album. He had AJ, for instance, on it. He nice too. I rock with him. Ron Killings. They not running around here saying nigga. And you know why they're not saying nigga? Because they know that there's ramifications for saying nigga and being heard saying nigga. But for whatever reason, Jacob Fatu can run around saying it all day, but he won't get in trouble. And you know why he won't get in trouble? Because he's a part of the Samoan dynasty. Because he's a part of the Samoan dynasty. And this is a talking point that's been getting brought up for the longest time. That Samoans could act like niggas, but we can't. Every single time we have this conversation, we see Trick Williams. I'm afraid of what's going to happen to Trick Williams when he comes to the main roster. You see the travesty that's going on with Carmelo Hayes right now. Montez Ford, Trick Williams, Carmelo Hayes, all of these guys have trouble trying to find their character and having trouble being themselves. But the Samoans can come in here, they wearing baggy clothes, and maybe they grew up with those people, and that's completely fine. That's completely fine. I wouldn't even be having this conversation if there wasn't a double standard involved. I wouldn't even be having this conversation because the truth is, people are gonna be who they're gonna be regardless. Jacob Fatu is gonna say nigga regardless. It's nothing we can really do about it. But it's the fact that our people, the people who are actually black people, will get penalized for doing a fraction of what the Samoans get to do. And I've been trying to figure out low-key what they really brought to wrestling. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a fan of Yokozuna. I'm a fan of The Rock. I love the Usos. I loved Umaga when he was still alive. I like Zilla Fatu. I like Jacob Fatu as wrestlers. I like all of these people as characters and wrestlers, but the elephant in the room is that with the exception of a few of those guys that were brought up, you can look to the side and you can tell that a good amount of them guys don't have no business being in a WWE ring on the main roster. I know that I'm bouncing around and you know, I don't want to lose the main talking point. The main talking point is that there's a problem. There's a problem with this. I have a big problem with this because why the hell do they get the benefit of our culture, but in no way, shape, or form are the guys who could really be benefiting from our culture that is actually of our culture that is African can't really lock in and get what they really want out of the WWE and be themselves for real. Carmelo Hayes Look at what he was doing in NXT versus what he's doing now and how he's presented to the people now. If they were allowed, if Carmelo Hayes was allowed to do a fraction of what he does or did in NXT, he would be one of the most over men in the company right now. There's no coincidence as to why Carmelo Hayes or Montez Ford, these guys can't break through the singles ranks the way they should. But we got a Jey Uso who has the charisma, but is definitely less talented than both of those guys that I just now brought up. And he yeeted his way all the way to a world championship. He was able to yeet his way into a world championship. Now, I was all for him winning the Intercontinental Championship. And at one point, I'm not going to lie, I was all for him winning the World Heavyweight title. But there has been no progress in the ring work. It has been no real quality matches to go by. Even the match that he had with the Ring General was lackluster. It wasn't a great match. It was what it was and it did what it was supposed to do, but it was not a great match. You gotta have him in. It's easy when you can hide behind your twin. And real spill, Jimmy is the better twin in the ring. He's definitely up there. Some injuries plagued him, but I feel like Jimmy Uso would have done a better job in this position if it was the other way around. But that's another story for another day as well. What I wanted to say is that there's a lot of Samoans that in that family that has no business being on SmackDown, straight call up to the main roster and all of this other stuff. Tama Tonga carried both of his brothers. He carried Hikuleo and he definitely carried Tonga Loa because Tonga Loa's ass. That Team God, that was off of the back of Tama Tonga. Tonga Loa should 100% be in NXT somewhere trying to figure out what the hell he's doing and not botch and not make any mistakes. Hikuleo, he had a whole year to get nice. He got signed this time last year, and he's still ass. Who else we got? Love Tamina, but real spill, why is Tamina there? Why is Tamina there, and why is people calling Tamina a legend? What has Tamina done for the business to be called a legend for real? What has a lot of these guys, what has the Samoan dynasty done for the WWE? Roman Reigns, shout out to Roman Reigns. He's definitely a needle mover. He's one of the greatest of all time, obviously. But even Roman Reigns needed like 3 or 4 tries before he got it right. You really think anybody else was getting 3 or 4 tries in the main event before they got it right? For real? No. We all know the real reason why that even happened in the first place. Come on, man. Like, let's start using our brains. I have my book right here for all of the talking points that I'm really trying to get off. But I'm going in circles, but my point still stands. Samoans get the benefit from black culture, but not us. Yo, even down to Roman Reigns, who is Samoan and Italian, out here saying nigga by accident on the TV. You must be sleeping under a rock or something. And you know that he really wanted to say the N-word. Like, come on, bro. We not going to sit here and act like there's not an elephant in the room when it comes to Samoans and their culture and stuff like that, and how they would have trouble getting over as actual Samoans. Yo, The Rock is half black and he don't even be running around here saying nigga. He don't even be saying nigga. So there's no excuse. But the real truth of all of this is that the way they glaze the Samoan dynasty and glaze the Fatu family and the Anoa'i family is not warranted. It's not warranted. We can't pretend and act like these guys brought so much to the WWE. Yeah, we got The Rock, but The Rock didn't even get over being Samoan. His first gimmick was being Rocky Maivia, and he got booed out of the arena every single time. It wasn't until The Rock started running with the Nation of Domination, and then he found his stride and figured it out. The Rock had to be a black man, which he's already a black man, to get over. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? The Usos, people liked the Usos, but people didn't really care for the Usos the way they care about the Usos now until they got in their penitentiary bag. Rocking the bandanas and rocking the baggy clothes, you know what I'm saying? The street attire and all of that. I'm sweating because I'm real passionate about this, but the God honest truth is that they were not even getting over for real. It was the New Day who brought them over the hump and put them over the hump, and they had classic matches. The Usos wasn't considered a GOAT tag team until they started running with the New Day. And then after that, then Roman started the Bloodline. And that was when they started getting the admiration as the greatest tag team of all time, of one of the greatest tag teams of all time. So let's not have revisionist history here. And like I said before, Jey Uso didn't step his bag up. It's just super kick after super kick after super kick, and then a splash, maybe a slap, maybe a yeet, and that's about it. We're not seeing anything spectacular. And don't nobody talk about the 5 moves of doom and John Cena and all of that, because even at some point John Cena found his stride with the open challenge. And even he got tired of hearing that he couldn't wrestle, and he said, you know what, United States Open Challenge, and started having bangers. And even before that, you put John Cena in with somebody like a Shawn Michaels or anybody. You put him in the ring with anybody that's good, better than him, or just as good as him. They're gonna have a great match. I have not seen a great match from Jey Uso, and I love Jey Uso. Don't get me wrong, I rock with him. This is coming from a place of love more than anything. But you can't super kick and yeet me to death and expect me to think that you're a world champion. Nah, bro. Who else? Lance Anoa'i's coming. Lance Anoa'i's probably going to get fast-tracked straight up to the main roster to run with Jacob Fatu, Jimmy Uso and them, and they're going to have this little civil war. They won't let this bloodline thing die, bro. I like Solo Sikoa. Don't get me wrong. He got it out the mud to an extent. He's still a Nepo baby, but he got it out the mud. I wanted him to be the street champion. I wanted him to be the guy who went against the bloodline. You know what I'm saying? That would have been a more compelling story if you ask me, but I feel like everything fell together and it's all good. So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But really and truly, a lot of these guys that's just sitting here taking up roster spots and they're not going to get clipped because they're Samoan or they're part of the Samoan dynasty, that's asinine, man. Even Tongaloa. This dude had to become a Mexican gangbanger to get on the main roster. And he was still ass. He went to New Japan with his brother, and we know who carried that team. There's so many layers to break down about this that I'm not even really talking about for real. And then I think there's another Uso sister or something like that waiting in the reins that's going to pop out. And I heard, she's a great promo and stuff like that, but average at best in the ring. Most of these Samoan wrestlers that's a part of this family is average at best in the ring, bro. Average at best, but they try to sell you a dream and tell you that average at best is not good enough to go to the WWE. But you see Tongaloa botching all over the place and making mistakes in the ring and doing all of this craziness, and you can't even talk about live events and whatnot. That's beyond that. He's supposed to be a veteran. That man is like 40 something. That man is like 39 or what have you or whatever. You know what I'm saying? We can't. I'm not gonna praise mediocrity. People was getting excited because Jey Uso did a reverse Frankensteiner, a poison rhino, or what have you, and it's like, nah, you can't get me. There's more. You gotta do more. But my overall point in all of this is the fact that why the Samoans get the benefit of black culture, but black people are like Trick Williams, Carmelo Hayes, Montez Ford, Angelo, all these guys, they're like, yo, be yourself, but don't be that black. But you have Jacob Fatu making songs saying nigga and whatnot, and you got Rikishi on the hook and whatnot. There's a plethora of guys who make music in the WWE that's not running around here saying nigga because they fear the repercussions of it. But Jacob Fatu can get on a song and say nigga, right? Right? And I know both of the Usos be running around, but they never said nigga on TV or been spotted saying nigga, so it is what it is. But the truth of the matter is, this is getting out of hand, bro. And I love the Samoans, but come on, man. Let's be for real for a minute. Let's take a moment and be honest with ourselves. There's nothing that none of these guys can do that other people are on the roster are not capable of doing or capable of doing. I'm out, yeah. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. If y'all rocking with me, I appreciate y'all. If I lose followers or subscribers because of this, it is what it is. I appreciate everybody who's tapped in, but I'm not going to just sit here. I'm not here to make friends, man. I'm here to get my thoughts off. That's all I'm saying. I'm out. Peace.